Look at those beautiful mountains. Gorgeous. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on Rad Dad Toolbox. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to be doing a oil change and a filter change on a 2013 through 2020 Ford Escape. Applies to all of them. And we're going to show you how to do it super quick, to do it right, and to do it for just a tick over 23 bucks for a full synthetic oil change. So glad you joined us, and let's get started. Okay, here's the little beaut that we're going to be changing oil on today. This is a 2013 Ford Escape. It's the EcoBoost 2.0 4-cylinder turbo engine, and this is our victim today. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, first of all, I better get out of these nice clothes and change into my oil change clothes, or my wife will kick my butt. So let's do that. And voila, I'm in my old feed jacket here. Keeps me clean, keeps me from getting oil all over myself. Just an old jacket that actually does really good, an old Carhartt. So let's go ahead and get that little beauty oil change right now. And before I begin, we're going to go over everything we're going to be using today, everything I like to use on an oil change. Let's start with the Rhino ramps. This is a nice way for do-it-yourselfers to jack up your front end of your car and get to your drain plug and your skid pan and all those good things. You buy those at Walmart for, gosh, I want to say about 25 bucks, something like that. Gosh, get a roll of paper towels for gosh dang sakes. If you do not have that, you are crazy. I like to use these 9mm nitrile gloves I get from Harbor Freight, pretty cheap. I use a portable fluorescent light, rechargeable fluorescent light. Today we are going to be using a Torx driver to undo, I believe, the 8 screws that take off the splash pan, they call it, or splash cover. I've also got a 7mm that I'm going to be using for taking off 2 of the 7mm bolts, and a 13mm to remove the drain plug. Today we are doing a full synthetic oil change, and remember, we're doing this for just a tick over 23 bucks. You can't beat it. So we are using today Walmart's brand, Supertex brand, full synthetic. It takes 5.7 quarts, so we'll put 5 quarts of this stuff in, and then I add just a regular 3/4 of 1 quart in regular mineral oil. Not going to hurt it. It's actually really good for it. You can blend it just a little bit there. We are also going to be using a Ford Motorcraft FL910S with the silicone bypass valve that you do want. So please do not use imitation or cheap aftermarket filters. Use a good filter. I like to use Motorcraft. And last but not least, we're going to be using just a 7-quart old style drain pan. I do like the bigger ones. I'm going to show you those real quick. I do like these Hyper Tough 23-quart drain pans. They're quite a bit bigger. They definitely hold multiple oil changes, but unfortunately, all 3 of mine are full. So let's get back to it. And last but not least, you'll see I use a flat cardboard box to catch any of the spills that I might not be able to get to with the pan. So let's go ahead and get this 2013 Ford Escape up on the Rhino ramps, and we'll get started. Scalpel, we're going in. Okay, so I've got the Ford Escape up on the Rhino ramps, which gives us lots of room underneath there, at least enough room, I should say. Please make sure you're in park, and please make sure your parking brake is set. You want to be safe when you're doing this. Bing! For those of you that don't ever open your hood, the hood release is on the right side of the hood. So you just pull it and lift. Voila. I mentioned today, but it is 5-weight 30 you want to use, a full synthetic. We've got the fill plug and we've got the dipstick there. So we're going to go ahead and open the fill plug just to let it breathe so that all the oil will drain out. Let's go bottom side. Okay, I'm going to do the best I can to show you what's going on down here. First of all, you can see there is what's called a splash pan. That's this kind of fabric looking thing here. We're going to take off. There are, let's see, what are we looking at here? Oh, there's one there. So we're looking at, there's a Torx head there. There's another Torx head right next to it. So there's 3 across the back. And then there is 3 across the front. And I don't know if you can even see. There's one there. There's one there. And then there's another one over here. Plus, there are 2, if I can find them, two 7mm right there screws, and those are on both sides where the wheels are. So you got two on the sides. You've got three Torx heads across the back, towards the back of the car, and then you've got 1, 2, 3 across the front of the car of Torx screws. And sorry for the camera action, it is a little tight under here. Let's get to it. Take off this third one just across the front here, and then we'll start working across the back, and then the two 7mm on either side by the wheels. And the last one here across the back, that'll be did the 3 on the front and 3 on the back towards the back of the car. And here comes the last one, and then we'll do the two 7mm on either side. Okay, first one on the driver's side. This is the first of two 7mm bolts. And that'll be the final stage to get the splash pan off. It's loose enough now. I think I can just do it with my hand, theoretically, but it's such a small little screw, or bolt, I should say. I don't know if I can, but we'll try. Okay, and that one just came out, so let's go do the passenger side. And then the whole splash pan comes off, and I'm just gonna pull it out here. Pretty simple stuff. And by the way, there was one more screw on this other corner here, the passenger side. So there's 4 across the front, 2 7mm, 4 Torx across the front, 2 7mm by the wheels, and then 3 Torx across the back towards the back of the car. So I'll just set that aside, and we'll go in and show you where the oil filter and drain plug are. Now with the splash pan off, you can see that the drain plug is right there. That is a 13mm, really accessible. Makes it really nice once it's off. And then here is your oil filter, and it's just positioned in a vertical position, so it's really easy to get off. So we'll start by draining. Let's go ahead and take that drain plug off. All right, and correction, this is a 15mm drain plug. So we're gonna go ahead and undo that. Okay, so we've loosened the drain plug with, again, it's a 15mm, my bad, I told you 13. The old ones were 13, these are 15 now. So we'll slowly open that up, make sure our pan is right where it needs to be. And we're gonna let that oil drain out. And it's almost there. See the first few drips there happening. And now, oops, there we go. I caught it, barely. Gonna make a big old mess there if I didn't catch it, but I caught it. We'll let that drain for a few minutes here. And while that's draining, we're gonna go ahead and take the oil filter off. Okay, it's almost done draining. We're gonna let it drain just for a second more, and then we'll pop that oil filter off. All right, so it finished draining. We're just gonna hand tighten it, and then we'll use our socket to snug it up. Now when you snug it up, you don't want to do what I like to call kung fu it. In other words, tighten it too much. These are always alloys. These oil pans, and the threads can be stripped fairly easy, and if you strip threads on an oil pan, let's just say it's not good, so don't do it. Just kind of snug them down. So we'll get it. I'll show you about how tight I go. Right there. And that's it. We'll just wipe that up a little bit. Make sure it's all clean. Perfect. Now let's go to the oil filter. Okay, because there's oil in the oil filter, you want to go ahead and put the drain pan right below it. And I've already hand unloosened this. At least I think I have. We'll see. Okay, yep, it's spinning now. And it's going to drop some oil. So you want to make sure you have that pan right there. And you can see it right there go. Okay, again, we're going to be using the Motorcraft FL910S, and it's got a really good silicone valve in it, one-way valve, and you do not want to use cheap versions of this. Let's go ahead and open it up. And there is the new filter. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take some oil and go around this silicone ring or this rubber ring here, and that just gives us a good seal. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll add a little bit of oil to the filter itself. fill it up, and then carefully start it on the threads and snug it down. All right, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that oil. I'm just going to rub it around the outside, and let's go ahead and put that on. Okay, and then once you've put some oil around that rubber ring, you want to carefully add just a little bit of oil to it and try to fill it up, not too full. This helps it so the engine doesn't starve on oil when you first start it. Okay, let's go ahead and put that on. Okay, I've gone ahead and screwed it on, and I want to just tighten it up so it seals down good on that silicone or rubber ring there. And again, you don't want to kung fu it. You can pretty much do it one-handed. There we go. Nice and snug, not too tight, but just right. And now my favorite part of an oil change, putting the fresh oil back in. This holds 5.7 quarts, and we are putting in just to top it off some high mileage 530 regular mineral oil, just to save a little money, because the bulk of it is synthetic. The 5 quarts are synthetic. Let's go ahead and top it off now, and we'll check it here in just a second. Okay, it looks good. Let's go ahead and shut that oil fill cap, and we'll go ahead and give it a start. Make sure there's no leaks from underneath before we put the splash pan on. Here we go. Fire in the hole. Perfect. Boom. I'm gonna go ahead and get that belly pan back on. Okay, we got the belly pan all buttoned up, the splash pan they call it. There's one more thing to do. And last but not least, I like old style stickers. So I put down "When it's due again." Boom. All right, we're gonna end on another Rocky Mountain high. Look at those beautiful mountains and clouds today. A little bit of snow up on the peaks there. Looks gorgeous. Again, for joining us on Rad Dad Toolbox. I hope you've learned something and how to change oil for just a tick over 23 bucks. That rocks, man. I'm glad you joined us. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you hadn't hit the like button, pound it, man. And shaka bra. And if you think you can, if you think you can't, you are exactly right. Can you do this kind of stuff? Absoflippinlutely. Until next time.